The 1970s were an era of experimentation, regulation, and transition in the American auto industry. While muscle cars and personal coupes often stole the spotlight, sedans quietly evolved, and in some cases disappeared altogether. Some were limited production oddities, while others were regional monologues, rebadges, or corporate misfires that failed to catch on. These sedans slipped through the cracks of history, forgotten by all but the most devoted enthusiasts. Here are 10 of the rarest and most obscure sedans of the 1970s that you've probably never heard of.
Dear viewer, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for your support.
Number 10, the 1971 AMC Hornet SC360 sedan, a muscle car oddity that hid serious power beneath a humble four-door shell. When you think of American muscle cars, images of aggressive coupes and roaring two-door fastbacks usually come to mind, not four-door economy sedans. But in 1971, AMC quietly created one of the most unusual factory muscle cars of the era, a Hornet sedan fitted with the SC360 performance package. Most people know the AMC Hornet SC360 as a compact performance coupe, a spiritual successor to the SC Rambler. But in extremely limited numbers, possibly only a handful, AMC dealers and buyers ordered the high-performance 360 V8 in a four-door Hornet sedan, creating one of the rarest factory sleepers of the early 70s. Though it was never officially advertised or cataloged as a sedan variant, the configuration was technically possible, and a few slipped through. Today, the Hornet SC360 sedan stands as a symbol of hidden horsepower, underdog engineering, and the strange corners of AMC's muscle era. By the early 1970s, American Motors Corporation, AMC, was struggling to keep up with the big three automakers. But instead of retreating, AMC leaned into its underdog status by producing bold, affordable performance cars for working-class enthusiasts. The 1971 Hornet SC360 was a prime example. Based on the compact Hornet coupe, AMC dropped in their high-output 360 cubic inch V8, added sporty styling, and priced it aggressively. It was a spiritual successor to the 1969 SC Rambler, though less flamboyant. Most SC360s were built on the two-door Hornet shell, but because the Hornet platform was modular and AMC's factory order system was relatively flexible, a four-door Hornet sedan could technically be optioned with the same engine and equipment, even if it wasn't marketed that way. The 1971 Hornet sedan was a plain-looking, boxy economy car designed more for suburban families than drag strips. Conservative body lines, basic rectangular grille and squared-off roof, steel wheels with simple hubcaps, narrow tires, and a long wheelbase. But when fitted with the SC360 drivetrain, this sedate exterior became pure camouflage. Most sedan buyers didn't bother adding the SC's visual extras, things like stripes, scoops, or rally wheels. As a result, these cars looked completely ordinary. No spoilers, no scoops, no stripes, just power. That made them one of the truest factory sleepers of the muscle era. They looked like a grocery getter, but could run the quarter mile in the high 14-second range with the right gearing. At the heart of the SC360 package was AMC's robust small-block V8. Engine specs: 360 cubic inches, 5.9 liters, high compression heads, and four-barrel carburetor. Though the Hornet sedan was never a sports car, the SC360 upgrades helped it hold its own. Heavy-duty suspension components, front anti-roll bar, quick ratio steering box, open-O front disc brakes, a must-have for real performance. While not as nimble as a Camaro or Mustang, the Hornet's shorter wheelbase and stiffened chassis gave it respectable handling for a sedan, especially with modern tires. The car was solid, responsive, and durable, if a bit raw around the edges. In the right hands, it could hold its own at a stoplight or a backroad run. Inside, the SC360 sedan wasn't much different from a regular Hornet sedan. Bench or optional bucket seats, simple dash layout with optional tachometer, manual windows, vinyl trim, and minimal sound deadening, operation floor shifter with 4-speed. AMC wasn't known for luxury, especially in performance variants, but the minimalism added to the sleeper charm. No one would expect 285 horsepower from a cabin this humble. It felt more like a fleet car than a muscle machine, until you turned the key. One of the biggest reasons the SC360 Hornet sedan is so unknown is because AMC never officially marketed or advertised the sedan version. Number 9, the 1976 Chevrolet Concore four-door sedan, a forgotten upscale compact that tried to bring luxury touches to the humble Chevy Nova platform and faded quietly into obscurity. When we talk about 1970s American cars, luxury and compact aren't terms that usually go together. But in the mid-1970s, Chevrolet made an attempt to add a touch of class to its entry-level compact, the Nova, by introducing a high-trim variant, the Concore. Most people associate the Nova with affordable, bare-bones practicality, or in some cases V8-powered muscle variants. But the 1976 Chevrolet Concore four-door sedan was something different. A Nova wrapped in formal wear, aimed at buyers who wanted comfort and refinement in a compact footprint. Unfortunately, the Concore sedan was a tough sell in a market dominated by full-size luxury cars and rising imports. The result? A short-lived, little-remembered experiment in economy car elegance that quietly disappeared along with the Nova nameplate. By 1975, the Nova had been a staple of Chevrolet's lineup for over a decade. Reliable, simple, and affordable, it was a go-to choice for budget-minded drivers. But Chevrolet wanted to compete with more upscale compact offerings, like the Ford Granada, Chrysler's Volare Premier, and even creeping imports like the Volvo 240. So in 1976, GM created a more luxurious version of the Nova, the Concore. Positioned as the top-trim Nova, it was available in coupe, hatchback, and sedan body styles. It borrowed heavily from luxury design cues, with more attention to interior comfort and exterior detailing. The four-door Concore, in particular, was intended for small families or older buyers looking for a downsized alternative to full-size sedans, but with extra refinement. Ironically, the buyers it targeted either stuck with larger cars or moved to imports. Visually, the 1976 Concore four-door sedan retained the familiar Nova shape, but with several touches to make it stand out from its blue-collar siblings. Unique grille and front fascia, with extra chrome and a Cadillac-inspired pattern, opera-style rear window trim and stainless window moldings, body-colored or padded vinyl roof option, distinct Concore badging, standard color-keyed wheel covers and bright body side moldings. Despite these upgrades, the car's boxy shape and short wheelbase reminded buyers that it was still a Nova underneath. The styling came across as budget formal, enough to look slightly fancier, but not enough to fool anyone into thinking it was a true luxury car. The Concore sedan came with a range of engines, from economical to adequate, but performance was never its selling point. Engine options in 1976 included 250 CID 4.1-liter inline-six, about 105 horsepower, 305 CID 5.0 V8, about 140 horsepower, 350 CID 5.7 V8, about 165 horsepower optional. Most Concore sedans were sold with the inline-six. The main selling point of the Concore was its upgraded interior, which tried to emulate larger Chevrolets like the Caprice. Plush-cut pile carpeting and full insulation package, simulated wood-grain dashboard and door panel inserts, deluxe bench seats with upgraded upholstery, including velour options, standard AM radio with optional 8-track or FM stereo, extra sound deadening and trim pieces. For a compact car, it was surprisingly cushy, especially compared to the standard Nova, but it still felt cheap compared to true luxury sedans, and the fit and finish were often uneven. The instrument cluster remained simple and carried over from lower trims, which betrayed the car's economy roots. It was comfortable for short trips, but long highway drives revealed its limitations: road noise, body flex, and limited rear seat space. The Concore sedan didn't sell in large numbers. Most Nova buyers either opted for cheaper base models, bought the coupe version for style, went for more powerful versions with SS badging, or jumped ship to more refined imports and downsized intermediates. The four-door Concourse was a niche within a niche, trying to be a caprice light for buyers who didn't want or couldn't afford a full-size car. Number 8, the 1974 Dodge Monaco Brougham sedan, equipped with the 400 SID V8, a forgotten full-size luxury sedan with unexpected muscle under the hood. If you could find one that wasn't painted black and fitted with a siren. The early 1970s marked the twilight of the full-size American land yacht. Big, boxy, and built for the open road, these cars were once symbols of affluence and power. But by 1974, rising insurance costs, emissions regulations, and the looming fuel crisis had begun to chip away at the concept of a performance-capable, full-size sedan. The 1974 Dodge Monaco Brougham sedan, especially when equipped with a 400 cubic inch V8, was Dodge's answer to those who still wanted power and prestige in a single package. But while it offered muscle under the hood and plush appointments inside, most Monacos were diverted into police fleets, taxi duty, or other institutional uses. Today, a civilian-spec Monaco Brougham with a big block engine is a rare survivor, a symbol of a time when even your granddad's four-door could pack serious heat. Originally launched in 1965 as Dodge's full-size flagship, the Monaco was designed to compete with the likes of the Ford LTD and Chevrolet Caprice. By 1974, it had become a massive C-body sedan, offering premium styling, generous dimensions, and a full range of V8 powertrains. That year, the Brougham trim was added to give the Monaco an upscale push, complete with plusher interiors, extra chrome, and more features as standard. Positioned just below the top-tier Royal Monaco, the Brougham was the luxury variant for the everyday executive. And while the average Brougham customer opted for the base 360 V8 or a smaller 318, those in the know, or fleet managers building pursuit vehicles, spec'd the 400, or even the legendary 440 V8. These high-displacement versions were few and far between in civilian trims, making them exceedingly rare today. The 1974 Monaco was about as subtle as a battleship. Massive front fascia with a split grille, stacked rectangular headlights, and heavy chrome. Sharp-edged body lines with slab sides and formal roofline. Available vinyl roof, typically in black or tan, with Brougham badging. Full-length chrome body moldings, ornate hubcaps, and optional white wall tires. Rear design featuring massive taillight clusters and an extended deck lid. In short, it was a rolling statement of power and comfort, intimidating to look at and even harder to park. Civilian Brougham models were particularly ornate, loaded with exterior trim, badging, and other luxury visual cues. The highlight of this version of the Monaco was its 400 CID big block V8, with other options including the monstrous 440 CID for police or high-performance duty. 400 CID V8, standard on some Brougham models. Displacement, 400 cubic inches, 6.6 liter. The Monaco Brougham rode like a couch on wheels, designed more for interstate cruising than corner carving. Key features included torsion bar front suspension with leaf springs in the rear, optionally heavy-duty suspension on police fleet versions, recirculating ball steering with optional power assist, standard drum brakes, though front discs were available. With the 400 V8, the car had plenty of torque for highway passing and felt serene at cruising speeds. But the soft suspension and vague steering meant handling was sluggish and floaty. Braking, even with discs, was best described as eventual. The Monaco wasn't meant to hustle, it was meant to glide. Inside, the brown leaned hard into the mid-70s idea of luxury, deep pile carpeting and faux wood trim, plush bench seats with velour or brocade upholstery, full instrument cluster with optional clock and tachometer, rare. Air conditioning, power windows, cruise control, and tilt wheel as options. A cavernous trunk and enough space inside to carry 5 adults in total comfort. Everything was oversized, overstuffed, and overdressed, but buyers expected no less. Number 7, the 1973 Mercury Comet sedan, a rare 4-door version of a car mostly remembered in its coupe form, and one that quietly disappeared into obscurity. When one mentions the Mercury Comet, most enthusiasts think of sporty 2-door coupes, especially the 1960s muscle-inspired variants, or the more stylish compact offerings of the early 70s. What's almost completely forgotten, however, is that for a brief period and in very small numbers, the Comet was also offered as a four-door sedan, even in upper trim levels. The 1973 Mercury Comet sedan was such a car, a practical, economy-minded compact, wrapped in slightly fancier Mercury styling. It wasn't a performance car, it wasn't glamorous, and it wasn't particularly well-known, even when new. But it does tell a fascinating story about how Ford and Mercury marketed badge-engineered compacts during the malaise era, and how some trims slipped through the cracks of automotive history. The Comet originally debuted in 1960 as a more upscale counterpart to the Ford Falcon. Through the 1960s, it underwent several transformations, from economy runabout to mid-size performance car, before shrinking back down in the early 1970s. By 1971, Mercury revived the Comet nameplate as a badge-engineered version of the Ford Maverick, one of Ford's responses to the rise of imports like Toyota and Datsun. The Maverick was a simple, compact, lightweight car, and the Comet followed suit, but with a slightly more formal design and upscale trim. Though most of the marketing push focused on two-door coupes, Mercury quietly offered a four-door Comet sedan through the mid-1970s. It was aimed at economy-minded families or retirees who wanted a little Mercury flair in a compact package. The 1973 Comet sedan shared its core design with the Maverick sedan, including the platform, greenhouse, and body lines. But Mercury gave it a more upmarket appearance: vertical grille bars and a prominent Mercury badge, bright window and rocker moldings in upper trims, optional vinyl roof, typically in black, white, or beige, formal squared-off lines compared to the Maverick's sportier flair, optional wheel covers, pinstripes, and two-tone paint. While the coupe had sporty proportions, the sedan had a tall, narrow, and slightly awkward profile. With thin pillars and large glass, it had good visibility, but lacked aesthetic drama. It wasn't ugly, just bland and easily overlooked. The Comet sedan was never meant to go fast. It was built for economy, reliability, and low operating costs, and its engine lineup reflected that mission. Standard and optional engines for 1973 included 170-side inline-six standard, 82 horsepower, 200-side inline-six, 91 horsepower, 250-side inline-six, 98 horsepower, 302-side V8, 137 horsepower, optional and higher trims. The vast majority of sedans were sold with the 200 or 250 inline-six. Inside, the Comet sedan tried to justify its Mercury badge with modest upgrades over its Ford cousin: bench seats with cloth or vinyl upholstery, wood grain applique on the dashboard, option AM radio, air conditioning, and power steering, simpler gauges, speedometer, fuel, and idiot lights. Some models featured carpeting and additional trim in upper trims like the Custom or GT if option. It wasn't luxurious by any real definition, but it was quiet, soft riding, and inoffensive, exactly what many buyers in the early 70s were looking for in a family sedan or second car. 1973 was a transitional year for safety and emissions regulations. The Comet sedan received 5 miles-per-hour front bumpers required starting that year, adding weight and bulk, standard shoulder belts, catalytic converter not yet mandated, but some emissions plumbing was added, modest detuning of engines to meet federal smog standards. These changes slightly hurt performance and styling, but helped the Comet remain compliant and, more importantly, cheap to run. Number 6. The 1977 Pontiac Phoenix Sedan, a four-door compact that struggled to find an audience in a shifting automotive market and vanished almost as quickly as it arrived. The 1977 Pontiac Phoenix Sedan represents one of the more obscure corners of General Motors' 1970s badge engineering maze, a time when nearly every division had its own version of a compact car. The Phoenix was launched late in the decade as a more refined version of the Pontiac Ventura, positioned as a premium compact meant to compete with Ford's Granada and Chrysler's Volare Premier. While the Phoenix name would later become more associated with awkward hatchbacks and front-wheel drive missteps in the 1980s, its first incarnation in 1977, especially in sedan form, was quietly launched and even more quietly discontinued. It existed for only a single model year in its original configuration, and very few people even noticed. By the mid-1970s, the Ventura was aging. Based on GM's X-Body platform, it shared architecture with the Chevrolet Nova and other GM compacts, and was due for a refresh. In response to rising demand for compact but upscale cars, Pontiac introduced the Phoenix nameplate in 1977. The Phoenix was essentially a rebadged and lightly dressed-up Ventura, available in coupe and sedan form, with revised trim, more luxurious interior materials, and slightly different styling cues. It was Pontiac's attempt to create a more refined, slightly European-inspired compact, a car that would appeal to upwardly mobile buyers looking to downsize without downgrading. But despite its ambitions, the Phoenix sedan struggled from the start, competing against more distinctive or better-performing alternatives in a shrinking market. The 1977 Phoenix sedan was unmistakably a product of its time. Square, formal, and modestly trimmed. Visually, it barely differentiated itself from the outgoing Ventura, but included a few unique touches. Grille with horizontal chrome bars, bearing the Phoenix badge, squared-off front and rear fascia, with modest chrome accents. Optionally vinyl roof, color-keyed mirrors and full wheel covers. Bright trim around the windows and rocker panels in higher trims. Subtle Phoenix script badging on the rear fenders and trunk. The sedan body, with its long rear overhang and four-door layout, looked more conservative and family car than sporty. It had some formal appeal, but lacked the drama or excitement Pontiac was traditionally known for. Compared to the more aggressive Firebird or even the Grand Prix, the Phoenix sedan looked like a rental car that tried to dress up for church. Under the hood, the Phoenix offered a modest range of engines, mostly carried over from the Ventura, with a focus on reliability and ease of service, not performance. Engine options in 1977 included 231 CID Buick V6, around 110 horsepower base engine, 250 CID Chevy Inline-6, around 105 horsepower, 305 CID Chevy V8, around 145 horsepower, 350 CID V8 optional. Inside, the 1977 Phoenix sedan received one of the most refined cabins ever offered in a GM X-Body, at least for that generation. Pontiac made a concerted effort to elevate the car above its humble Nova Ventura roots. Interior features included simulated wood grain trim on the dash and door panels, cut pile carpeting and additional sound insulation, optional velour or vinyl bench seats with a split bench in some models, full instrumentation on higher trims, though basic gauges on most, AM, FM stereo, tilt steering, air conditioning and cruise control optional. It felt more plush than sporty, and in many ways tried to mimic the feel of Pontiac's larger sedans in a smaller footprint. Unfortunately, despite the efforts, it still felt like an economy car trying to play dress-up. Fit and finish varied, and rattles were not uncommon, even when new. The Phoenix sedan entered a crowded field of compact sedans that were all doing essentially the same thing, and doing it better or cheaper. Ford Granada and Mercury Monarch were better styled and marketed. The Chevy Nova had better name recognition and more aggressive SS versions. The Oldsmobile Omega offered a smoother ride and more mature image. Number 5, the 1975 Oldsmobile Omega Salon sedan, a forgotten compact luxury sedan that aimed high but landed softly, and is now nearly extinct due to rust, neglect, and general obscurity. The 1975 Oldsmobile Omega Salon sedan was General Motors' attempt to upscale the compact sedan formula, combining Oldsmobile prestige with a small footprint. Born from GM's badge-engineered X-Body platform, the Omega was positioned as the most refined of GM's compact offerings, sharing its bones with the Chevrolet Nova, Pontiac Ventura, and Buick Apollo. While most buyers associated compact cars with basic transportation, the Salon trim of the Omega sought to add a touch of Oldsmobile class to the category, with deluxe interiors, added soundproofing, and restrained exterior elegance. But in sedan form, it struggled to find a market, and time has not been kind to its legacy. By the early 1970s, Oldsmobile was known for its well-built midsize and full-size sedans, such as the Cutlass in '98. But with the fuel crisis and changing consumer preferences, GM needed its divisions to offer smaller, more efficient cars. So in 1973, Oldsmobile launched the Omega, essentially a rebadged Chevrolet Nova, but with fancier trim, a softer ride, and the upscale image that came with the Olds name. It was the first time Oldsmobile ventured into the compact car segment in earnest. By 1975, the Salon trim was introduced, marketed as a more luxurious variant. Available in both coupe and sedan form, the Omega Salon offered extra comfort and sound insulation, targeting buyers who wanted premium features in a compact size. But most buyers didn't see Oldsmobile as a compact brand, and the sedan, in particular, struggled to gain traction. The 1975 Omega Salon sedan was distinguished by subtle upgrades over the base Omega. While its shape closely mirrored the Nova, Oldsmobile designers gave it a more formal and reserved look. Split egg crate grille with vertical bars and Oldsmobile's crest. Four-door body with squared-off roofline and chrome window surrounds. Distinctive Salon badging and optional vinyl roof. Extra chrome trim around the fenders and along the rocker panels. Standard full wheel covers or optional wire-style hubcaps. While the coupe version of the Omega had sportier lines, the sedan was boxy and formal, designed more for traditional buyers downsizing from full-size sedans than for the youth market. It lacked flair, but delivered a clean, tailored look that was appropriate for its intended audience. The Omega Salon wasn't built for speed, but it did offer enough engine options to give buyers a choice between economy and mild performance. 1975 engine options included 250 CID inline-six base engine, 260 CID V8 smoother but still modest, 350 CID Rocket V8 optional, more torque but detuned for emissions. The car typically came with a 3-speed automatic. The most distinctive part of the Omega Salon sedan was inside the cabin. Oldsmobile tried hard to give buyers a compact car that didn't feel cheap. Plush cut-pile carpeting and upgraded headliner. Simulated wood grain trim on the dashboard and door panels. Extra sound insulation for a quieter ride. Bench seats with cloth or velour upholstery and optional center armrest. Full instrument cluster with optional clock and stereo upgrades. Omti features included air conditioning, power windows, tilt steering, cruise control, and AM/FM stereo with 8-track. For a compact sedan, this was a lavish list of amenities, especially compared to the Spartan interiors of other X-body cars like the base Nova or Ventura. But in reality, much of it was appearance over substance. The materials looked good at a glance, but didn't always age well, and many buyers felt the car didn't live up to Oldsmobile's reputation for quality. The 1975 model year introduced several government-mandated changes that impacted the Omega. Catalytic converter required on all models, reducing power. Larger 5-mile-per-hour impact bumpers with extended mounts and rubber strips. Early warning buzzers, seatbelt interlocks, briefly, and additional crash standards. These changes added weight and complexity, further dulling the performance and economy of the already underpowered Omega sedan. Number 4. The 1972 Plymouth Satellite Sebring Plus sedan. A peculiar and obscure footnote in the world of muscle-era Mopars. When you hear the name Sebring Plus, the image that likely comes to mind is a sporty 2-door Plymouth Satellite coupe, the kind you'd see prowling suburban drag strips in the early 1970s with a rumbling V8 and mag wheels. But lurking in the shadows of that better-known muscle car lineage is a strange and often forgotten creation, the 1972 Satellite Sebring Plus sedan. While the Sebring Plus was officially a coupes-only trim package, reports and evidence suggest that a handful of 4-door Satellite sedans were built or modified with Sebring Plus equipment, and even more curiously, some were ordered with big block engines. These dealer-ordered oddities straddled the line between luxury and latent performance, and today exist more in Mopar folklore than in survivor garages. The Plymouth Satellite was Plymouth's midsize offering, equivalent to the Dodge Coronet, and based on the Chrysler B-body platform. By 1972, the Satellite lineup included Satellite, base models in coupe, sedan, and wagon form, Satellite Sebring, stylized coupe, Satellite Sebring Plus, more luxurious coupe, often with performance options. Satellite Custom, higher trim sedans and wagons. Only the coupes were officially offered in Sebring Plus trim. The sedans had their own more restrained hierarchy. However, that didn't stop certain regional dealers or fleet managers from bending the rules, mixing higher-end trim, drivetrain options, and exterior appearance on four-door shells. A typical 1972 Satellite sedan was a fairly conservative-looking car, boxy roofline, wide stance, and clean fuselage lines. But when decked out with Sebring Plus-style equipment, it looked like a family car trying to impersonate a muscle coupe. Unique elements seen on Sebring Plus-inspired sedans included chrome rocker moldings and wheel lip trim, optionally body color sport mirrors, bucket seats and center console in some rare builds, rally wheels and raised white letter tires, stripes or blackout treatment, if optioned, optional vinyl roofs, often in contrasting colors. These cars weren't built by the factory as a distinct trim. Rather, they were dealer-optioned or special-order sedans that borrowed parts, paint, and personality from the Sebring Plus coupe. In effect, they were oddball muscle sedans, existing in the gray space between trim levels and factory logic. This is where things get interesting. While most Satellite sedans came with tame 6-cylinders or small-block V8s, some dealer-ordered Sebring-style sedans were equipped with high-displacement V8s, making them genuine sleepers. Documented engine options for the Satellite sedan in 1972 included 225 CID Slant 6, base engine, 105 horsepower, 318 CID V8, common small block, 150 horsepower, 340 CID V8. While most four-door Satellites were built for comfort and commuting, some of these quasi-Sebring builds featured unexpectedly upscale interiors. Bucket seats, rare in sedans, center console with floor shifter, optionally rally gauge cluster, deluxe wood grain trim and padded dash, AM/FM stereo with 8-track, air conditioning, and tilt wheel. It wasn't a full luxury car, but it was a better appointed midsizer that blurred the line between sport and sensibility, especially when paired with a torquey V8 and beefy suspension. By 1972, the muscle car era was winding down. Insurance costs, fuel prices, emissions regulations, and safety mandates were all converging to dull the once thrilling performance market. Even so, there was still demand for powerful family cars, vehicles that could haul kids and groceries during the week and surprise Camaros at stoplights on weekends. Chrysler understood this niche, and so did certain dealers. The fact that a Sebring-styled Satellite sedan with a 400 or 440 engine existed at all speaks to that transitional moment, a time when muscle performance still had a heartbeat, but now had to coexist with practicality. Number 3, the 1975 Pontiac Lemons luxury sedan, a forgotten four-door variant that tried to blend comfort, V8 power, and upscale appeal, but was lost in the shadow of its sportier coupe siblings. When enthusiasts think of the Pontiac Lemons, they often conjure images of high-performance coupes from the 1960s and early 1970s, especially the versions tied to the GTO. But by the mid-1970s, the Le Mans name had shifted gears, focusing more on personal luxury and family transport than muscle. Among this new direction, the 1975 Pontiac Le Mans luxury sedan quietly took its place as a well-equipped, V8-powered four-door aimed at comfort-first buyers. While the coupes and GT trims garnered attention, the luxury sedan faded into obscurity, seen by most as a middle-management commuter car or second-tier executive transport. Today, few remember it, even fewer collect it, and yet it tells a revealing story about Pontiac's transition during the heart of the malaise era. The Le Mans had long been a staple of Pontiac's mid-size lineup. By 1975, the muscle car era had all but collapsed. Insurance surcharges, emissions controls, and rising gas prices pushed performance cars off the showroom floor. GM's response? Lean into comfort, styling, and prestige, especially in its A-body lineup. Thus, the 1975 Le Mans was offered in a variety of trims: base Le Mans Sport Coupe, Le Mans GT, somewhat sporty, Le Mans Luxury, comfort-oriented trim available as Cooper Sedan. The Le Mans Luxury Sedan was the most refined of the four-door models, a step below the full-size Bonneville, but offering many of the same amenities in a smaller, more manageable package. The 1975 Le Mans Luxury Sedan rode on GM's A-body platform, featuring a long hood, formal roofline, and sculpted fender lines, with styling cues that tried to balance sport and sophistication. Key visual features included egg crate grille with the classic Pontiac split-nose design, full-width chrome front and rear bumpers, mandated by federal 5 MPa impact regulations. Optional vinyl roof, common on luxury trim, chrome window surrounds, rocker moldings, and rear fender accents. Distinctive luxury script badging. It was a handsome car, not flashy, not aggressive, but visibly upscale for a mid-size four-door. It didn't scream performance, but it had presence. One of the most notable aspects of the Le Mans luxury sedan was its engine lineup. Unlike today's sedans that might offer 4 cylinders or hybrids, every Le Mans in 1975 came with a V8, even the sedans. Engine choices included 250 CID inline-6, technically base engine, rare in luxury trim, 350 CID Pontiac V8, most common, around the 160 horsepower, 400 CID Pontiac V8 optional, around the 160 horsepower, depending on tune. The luxury in the Le Mans luxury sedan wasn't just a name. Pontiac equipped the car with a suite of upscale options that mimicked the Bonneville, but in a smaller footprint. Interior features often included velour or vinyl upholstery, often in earth tones, simulated wood grain dash trim and soft touch materials, option split bench seat with fold-down armrest, full carpeting, courtesy lighting, and rear seat ashtrays, power windows, power locks, tilt steering, cruise control, AM, FM stereo, 8-track optional, and optional air conditioning. The ride was quiet and soft, tuned for comfort. Handling wasn't sharp, but that wasn't the point. This was a cruiser, not a corner carver. Despite offering a good value in terms of comfort and V8 power, the luxury sedan never made headlines. Most of the attention in Pontiac showrooms went to the stylish Le Mans coupes, the sporty GT and GTO variants, the full-size Bonneville and Granville. The sedan was often purchased by older buyers, families, or executives who wanted something nicer than a Chevy Malibu but didn't want a full-size car. As a result, these sedans were typically ordered in low-key colors, saw heavy daily use, were rarely preserved by collectors. They became forgotten workhorses, not showpieces. Number 2, the 1973 Dodge Coronet Custom Sedan, a four-door sleeper that hid its muscle behind formal styling and mid-range trim. By 1973, the golden age of muscle cars was waning. Government regulations, rising insurance premiums, and shifting consumer priorities were slowly strangling high-horsepower vehicles. Dodge, a longtime purveyor of performance, was adapting. While the Charger was still the brand's halo car, the Coronet served as Dodge's more conservative midsize offering. But even in this changing landscape, the 1973 Coronet Custom Sedan emerged as a curious contradiction. A formal four-door family car that could still be optioned with serious big block V8 muscle, including the legendary 440 CI'd engine. Though never officially promoted as a performance car, it remains one of the era's more obscure factory sleepers. The Coronet had undergone a major redesign for 1971, moving to Chrysler's B-body platform with a distinctive fuselage-style shape. But for 1973, Dodge revised the lineup again. All Coronet models became 4 doors or wagons. The coupe and 2-door hardtop versions were now exclusively called Chargers. The Coronet range included Coronet Base, Coronet Custom, mid-range trim, Coronet Crestwood, wagon variant. The Coronet Custom Sedan was intended to be the nicest regular 4-door sedan in the midsize lineup. Not quite luxurious like a Chrysler Newport, but a cut above the entry-level models. It featured upgraded trim, more sound insulation, and available creature comforts. But crucially, it also retained access to Dodge's big block engines, creating a unique blend of refinement and hidden power. The 1973 Coronet was formal, wide, and upright. The custom sedan had a dignified presence. With none of the flash of the Charger and none of the utilitarian plainness of the base Coronet. Styling highlights included a wide horizontal grille with dual rectangular headlights and center Dodge emblem, a long hood and upright roofline, emphasizing interior room. Optional vinyl roof, often in black or beige. Subtle custom badging, chrome body side moldings, and upgraded wheel covers. 14-inch or optional 15-inch wheels with white walls or deluxe trim rings. It wasn't flashy, and it certainly didn't look fast, but that was the point. This was a suburban dad's car, a business sedan, or a police unmarked cruiser, not something that screamed performance, and that made it a perfect sleeper. What made the Coronet custom sedan truly special was the range of available V8s. While the base 6-cylinder or small block 318 were most common, Dodge allowed buyers to option serious power under the hood, even on the 4-door sedan. Available engines in 1973 included 225 CI'd slant 6, around the 105 horsepower, base engine, 318 CI'd V8 around the 150 horsepower, standard for most customs, 360 side V8 around the 175 or 180 horsepower optional. The Coronet custom sedan offered a well-trimmed, spacious interior that focused on practicality, comfort, and visibility. It was a car built for families or professionals, not thrill seekers, but Dodge didn't skimp on amenities. Bench seats with vinyl or optional cloth upholstery, simulated wood grain dash trim, and deluxe door panels. Optionally air conditioning, cruise control, and tilt steering. AM/FM radio, rear speaker, and optional 8-track stereo. Optional full instrumentation with temperature, fuel, and optional tachometer. With the custom trim, buyers could also opt for rear window defroster, power windows, and power seat, fender-mounted turn signal indicators. It was a respectable family car, offering a quiet, plush ride with enough power, if properly equipped, to tow a trailer or surprise other cars at a stoplight. Despite its sleeper potential, the Coronet custom sedan was rarely ordered with high-performance engines. Most buyers stuck to 318 small block V8s for fuel economy. Basic options and trim levels for fleet or family duty, conservative colors and soft rides. As such, the 400 and 440 equipped customs were extremely rare. They weren't advertised, and most people didn't even know those options existed outside of police brochures or fleet order forms. Number 1. The 1979 Mercury Monarch Gia sedan, a luxurious compact that blended 70s opulence with compact practicality, but failed to leave a lasting impression. In the late 1970s, as America entered the heart of the malaise era, automakers scrambled to produce smaller, more fuel-efficient cars in response to the energy crisis and changing consumer habits. But they didn't want to completely abandon the big car luxury feel. Ford's solution? Take the compact Ford Granada and give it an upscale Mercury twist, birthing the Mercury Monarch. The Gia sedan, introduced as the most premium trim, aimed to deliver a formal luxury experience in a downsized footprint. Despite those intentions, the 1979 Mercury Monarch Gia sedan never found a strong market. Overshadowed by both more luxurious full-sizers and more practical compacts, the Monarch Gia now lingers in near total obscurity, a strange, velour-filled artifact of a confused automotive era. The Mercury Monarch was introduced in 1975 as Mercury's compact alternative to the increasingly large and inefficient land yachts of the early 70s. It was a badge-engineered version of the Ford Granada, built on the same aging Ford Falcon-derived platform that had underpinned cars since the early 1960s. By 1979, the final model year of the Monarch, Mercury was preparing to replace it with the more modern Fox platform Zephyr. But before it bowed out, the Monarch Gia offered one last expression of Mercury's peculiar mission, putting full-size luxury trimmings into a small, conservative package. The 1979 Monarch Gia sedan wore a suit several sizes too big for its frame. At just over 200 inches long, it was technically a compact, but it was dressed like a Lincoln. Styling cues included square upright grille with chrome accents, dual rectangular headlamps and formal bumper lines, Vinyl Landau roof with signature opera windows, Gia-specific badging and trim, including script logos and fender emblems, wire wheel covers, white wall tires, and plenty of bright work. Optional two-tone paint schemes with pinstriping. The overall look was meant to evoke quiet wealth and refinement, but on a platform not originally designed for it. The proportions were awkward and the attempts at luxury often felt more like overdressing a basic car. Mechanically, the Monarch Gia shared its underpinnings with the Ford Granada and older Falcon-based architecture. Powertrains were modest, prioritizing reliability and economy over performance. Available engines in 1979 included 200 CID inline-six, 285 horsepower, base engine. 250 CID inline-six, 100 horsepower, available in higher trims. 302 CID V8 5-liter, 130 horsepower, optional, common and Gia models. 351 CID V8, 140 to 150 horsepower. The Gia designation signified Mercury's most luxurious trim level, and the Monarch Gia didn't disappoint in delivering 1970s-style comfort and flair, even in its compact form. Deep pile velour seats, often in burgundy, tan, or blue. Optional button-tufted upholstery with pillow-style padding. Simulated wood-grain dash and door trim. Opera lights integrated with the B-pillar. Full carpeting, sound insulation and ambient lighting. AM/FM stereo, optional 8-track or CB radio. Power windows, power locks, cruise control, and air conditioning, if optioned. Tilt steering and rear defroster. While the car's size was limited, Mercury made the interior feel rich and quiet, almost like a downsized town car. But in execution, it could also feel cramped and overly adorned, especially compared to more practical imports of the day. The Monarch Gia sedan had a tough time finding its audience. Positioned as a luxury compact, it suffered from an identity crisis. Buyers looking for true luxury usually opted for the full-size Mercury Marquis or Lincoln Continental. Those wanting a simple compact gravitated toward the more affordable Ford Granada, or even imports like the Toyota Coronet or Honda Accord.